Okay, now we are going to discuss about environmental scanning. It is the process of gathering, that means collecting, analyzing, and dispensing, that is distributing information for tactical or strategic purposes. This process entails obtaining both factual and subjective information on the business environment in which a company is operating or considering to enter. That is called as environmental scanning. So in general, environmental scanning is nothing but it is the process of collecting as well as analyzing as well as distributing the marketing information for tactical and strategic purposes of the organization in order to take the decisions. So here as a company, they want to do the research, and through the research, they have to identify, okay, what are the informations they are collected through the market research. That information will be analyzed properly and that will be distributed to the all the departments of the particular organizations in order to take the strategic as well as tactical information strategies. Okay, so this process always obtain both factual and subjective information. Sometimes it may be you directly collected from the consumers, or sometimes you may collected the information from the website or any other resources which are already available. Okay, so that is called factual and subjective information on the business environment in which a company is operating or considering to enter. So that is called as environmental scanning. Okay, next one, kinds of environmental scanning. What are the different types of environmental scanning are there? The first one, ad hoc scanning. Second one, regular scanning. Third one, continuous scanning. So ad hoc scanning is nothing but it's a short-term scanning. Okay, that is infrequent examinations, usually initiated by a crisis. Okay, if it is any crisis, any problems or occurs during that time only you are going for these kinds of scanning. Okay, that is called as ad hoc scanning, short-term scanning. And next one, regular scanning. Studies done on a regular schedule, maybe once a year or 6 months once or monthly once, like that you have the schedule. Okay, so during that particular schedule you are going to do the scanning, that is called regular scanning. Third one, continuous scanning. It is also called as continuous learning of the organization. Continuous structured data collection and processing on a broad range of environmental factors. So here you have a structured questionnaire in order to collect the data from the consumers and over how you are going to process it. Okay, that is called continuous scanning. So this environmental scanning usually refers just to the macro environment, but it can also include industry, competitor analysis, marketing research, that is consumer analysis, new product development, that is product innovations, or the company's internal environment. Okay, so scanning will be done with the help of macro environment, and it will be helping in order to assess the competitor, in order to know about the consumer analysis and to know about the development of new products. Okay, that is called as the different kinds of environmental scanning. Okay, next one, environmental scanning process. Okay, so here you can see the first box what it is there, that is called as environmental scanning process. External factors, collect the data, assess the data, identify the trends, forecast. And internal factors, vision, mission, values, and institutional climate. What is the vision of the organization? What is the mission of the organization? What values the organization possesses? And what is the institutional climate? Then after the environmental scanning, you have to go for the SWOT analysis. That means you have to identify the strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats of your organizations. Then you have to go for the gap analysis. Gap analysis, it will tell you where you are presently are and where you want to go in the future. That will be identified through the gap analysis. So gap analysis will be telling you where at present currently your company is presenting, At the same time, in future, where you want to go, that will be identified through the gap analysis. Then strategic planning. That means plan about how do we get there and when we'll get there. So if you are want to find out, okay, if you want to go somewhere, that is your objectives will be something. Okay, if you want to focus on to that, how you are going to getting things done, and at what extent or what time you will be going to get there. That is called how do we get there and when will we get there. That is called as strategic planning. So here you have to plan properly in order to achieve that particular objectives, and how you are going to achieve it and when you are going to achieve it. That is very important. Okay, now we'll see about the process involved in environmental scanning. Okay, the environmental scanning process, first one, identifying potentially relevant environmental changes. Second one, monitor, that is determine nature, direction, rate of change, magnitude of forces. And the fourth one, forecast probability of, third one, forecast probability of impact, timing of potential consequences. And fourth one, develop and implement the strategic responses. Okay, that is the steps involved in the environmental scanning. So in the process of environmental scanning, first things identify. So you should identify the potentially relevant environmental changes. That means either it in the micro marketing environment or macro marketing environment, you have to identify what are the changes that happen. Okay, so micro, it includes with the company very close to the organizations. It may be the company statement, mission statement, or the policy, whatever may be the case, or the customers, or the competitors, or the public. Okay, whatever changes are there, it may be the micro as well as macro marketing environment. Whatever changes are there, that you have to first identify. So identifying potentially relevant environmental changes. Okay, that means which are the changes will be going to affect your business activities. That you have to identify first. Second one, monitor. Okay, so you have to determine the nature of that potential changes and in which directions it will be going to affect you. Whether it is going to affect the positive way or it is going to affect the negative way of the organizations, and at what rate of change it will be going to create, at what extent it is going to affect your organizations, and what are the different forces and at what magnitude it will be going to affect. Everything you have to identify in the stage of monitoring. So monitoring is nothing but you should determine nature, direction, rate of change, and magnitude of forces. And third one, forecast probability of impact, timing of potential consequences. You should be predict the probability of impact because of that particular changes, that environmental changes, what kind of impact it will create, and when it will create the impact. That you have to identify through this process. Then last stage, develop and implement the strategic responses. Okay, so here you are going to develop and implement the strategic responses. So whatever the problem you identified, okay, so whatever the things, the probability of impact you forecasted and when it is going to happen, that also you predicted. Okay, then accordingly you have to develop and implement the strategic responses. That is called environmental scanning. So environmental scanning, the first step, scan the environment. Second step, monitoring. Third step, forecasting. And fourth step, assessment. First, you have to scan the environment and identify what are the potential changes are there in the marketing environment. That you have to do it. Second step, you have to monitor. Okay, you have to keep closely monitor the potential changes. And you have to forecast it. Okay, in what way it is going to affect, when it is going to affect. That you have to forecast. Then finally, you have to do the assessment. Okay, so here in the environmental scanning, there are two analyses of that. One is external analysis, another one is internal analysis. What is the meaning of external analysis? So external analysis is nothing but it is micro as well as macro marketing environment. That is outside the organization, which are the factors is going to affect your marketing activities. That is called as external analysis. It is divided into macro environment as well as micro environment. Then internal analysis. Internal analysis is nothing but within the organization, what are the factors will be going to affect your business activities. That is called as internal analysis. Now, under the external analysis, macro environment and micro environment. So far we discussed about another components of marketing environment, micro as well as macro environment we discussed. Same thing only here. In the macro environment, there is a analysis called as PEST analysis. That is political, economic, social, and technological analysis. Same way under the micro environment is called 5 force analysis. Okay, so we will see one by one. Okay, first one, a scan of the external macro environment. Okay, a scan of the external macro environment in which the firm operates can be expressed in terms of the following factors: political, economic, social, technological. Same thing what we already discussed in the macro environment concept, same thing only here also. The political factors, it includes the government regulations and legal issues and define both formal and informal rules under which the firm must operate. And there are some examples include tax policy, employment laws, environmental regulations, trade restrictions, and tariffs and political stability. They are called as political factors. So political factors, it include the government rules and regulations which related with, it will create both formal as well as informal rules under which any company must operate. So if the government is changing their tax policies, if the government is changing the employment laws or the environmental related issues or trade restrictions and tariffs or the political stability, anything is that these factors will be going to affect your marketing activities. That is called as political factors. Then second one, economic factors. So these factors affect the purchasing power as well as the potential of the customers and the firm's cost of capital. It includes economic growth, interest rates, exchange rates, inflation rates, etc. Then social factors. Social factors include the demographic and cultural aspects of the external macro environment. These factors affect customers' needs and the size of potential markets. It includes health consciousness, population growth rate, age distributions, emphasis on the safety. So that is called as social factors. Next one, technological factors. So technological factors also we already discussed in the macro environment concept. That only same thing we are going to discuss here. It can lower the barriers to entry and it reduce the minimum efficient production levels as well as taking the outsourcing decisions. These factors include research and development activity, automation, technology incentives, rate of technological change. And there are 5 force analysis. So 5 force analysis is nothing but threat of new entrants, threat of substitutes, bargaining power of buyers, bargaining power of suppliers, and rivalry among existing firms. These are called as 5 force analysis. So threat of new entrants, that means any new companies introduced any new products into the market. That entrance of new products or the new company will be the threat of the existing company or for the existing products. Threat of substitutes. If it is any substitute products are there for your company's products, then that also will be the you have to how you are going to deal it. They have to take care. Then bargaining power of buyers. Whether the buyers having the bargaining skill. There are many people have the bargaining power. Whatever the price you are fixing and you are selling it, the people are not ready to buy. They will always ask you to reduce the price of the products. So you have to think about the bargaining power of buyers also. And bargaining power of suppliers. Okay, even suppliers have the skill, bargaining power with the manufacturing persons in order to give the raw materials to produce any goods and services. Okay, so the bargaining power of suppliers also have to look into care. And the rivalry among existing firms. Okay, so there is a competition between the existing firms as well as the new firms. How you are going to compete with the existing firms. Okay, so these things you have to analyze very clearly. That is called as 5 force analysis. Okay, we'll see need and importance of environmental scanning. First thing, what is the importance or the need for the environmental scanning? You should identify the strength of the organization You should identify the weakness of your organization and you should identify the opportunities as well as threats available in the external market and optimum use of resources and survival and growth and to plan long-term business strategy. And this environmental scanning helps for taking the decision making. That's all about the need as well as importance of environmental scanning.